Hello, neighbor. I'm Dr. Karen Westbrooks, and I am creating this video for the purpose of discussing how to build positive, productive student relationships in the online community. Now, I want you to know that I am actually quite inspired by Mr. Rogers. Even though I first watched him as a preschooler, he still inspires me today because of three reasons. The first was he recognized that I was on the other side of that TV screen, and I was always so amazed. And secondly, he introduced me to the people in the land of make believe, people I didn't know. I didn't even know. How did he know that? I didn't know these people. I don't know them. And third, he anticipated what questions I was going to have by answering them before I asked them. And so I was always so tickled by that. And I actually did not realize that I had that Mr. Rogers mentality until I came on the online community again and recognized that what was happening online is something that Mr. Rogers had already figured out 4 or 5 decades ago. So, uh, to address positive student relationships, I'm going to take a look at 4 areas. One is I'm going to briefly discuss my vision for engaging new students as well as students, how I would approach feedback and evaluation for the foundation courses, what I would do to identify students who are at risk, and once I identified those students now, how would I help them? Okay, so let's get started. Now, for the vision. If you're gonna have a vision, you have to have a bag. This is this is my bag. Okay. So let's see what I've got in here. We're gonna talk about a vision for engagement. So I'm gonna put as many of these in my head as I can. And I know you're kind of wondering what is going on here, so I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. Yep, you're right. I've got blocks in my hands. I put in as many as my hands can hold. Now, my vision is actually 3 points. But you got more than 3 blocks in your hands. That's right, I do. Be patient. I'm going to show you how it's all interconnected. So the first block is check and connect. So you're going to know more than just the names on your roster. You're going to have some idea of who's in your class. Who are the moms, the dads, who are the grandmothers and the grandfathers, the uncles, the aunts. You got to get a sense of where they fit in their family system by what they tell you about their lives. I'm also going to make assumptions about uh, their non-traditional student status. I back in the year 2000, I actually co-authored a book entitled "Oral Histories of Non-Traditional Women Students," subtitled "A Study of Unconventional Strengths." That's STRENGTH. Uh, and I have always been interested in people who are mid career and choose to do something else. I think that's actually so brave and so courageous and just everything like that. So, my second block is commit. I know that my students are on a brand new journey, so I'm basically going to commit to hand holding, really. I'm gonna commit myself to checking and connecting and making sure they're getting through the roadblocks okay. And my third block is build community. Now, this is based on the assumption that much more is caught than taught. So, what I really would love to have happen is if the students were to begin checking and connecting on each other as well. So my structure would start out with just the 3 blocks. And then what we would do is check and connect again. And commit again. And build community again. Okay? And we repeat that over and over and over, and you get the picture. How would I approach feedback and evaluation? Well, for foundations, well, I would first have the understanding that foundations is an introduction. And certainly, no one student is going to master all the systemic thinking necessary to become a family therapist just in a course of 12 weeks. Okay, so we know that. So the main feedback a student will need to know is something that they can do. They have to feel competent. So my history of teaching this class, which I first started teaching foundations in another university in 1993. My history is always to help them with some awareness. Now, in Systems Foundation, there are basically 2 main challenges. One is the shift from focusing on the individual to focusing on the system. And that's not just a paradigm shift, that's also a cultural shift. So what I encourage my students to do is to begin catching themselves, begin recognizing it. So if I'm building awareness, that's successful. That's successful. And I'm helping them feel competent at the same time. Because in foundations, competence building is very, very important, as well as relationship building, as well as normalizing the challenges and the difficulties. So it's all about competence building and relationship building, doing both of those things at the same time. I would identify students at risk mainly through going back to my checking and connecting. Once I see a different kind of response pattern from a student with regard to emails or phone calls or something like that, I'm going to check and connect with what's going on with them. The at-risk can also be defined by specific concrete things such as late assignments, missed assignments, or poorly performed assignments. And once I've identified a student who's at risk, yes, I want to have a conversation. Generally, the best thing I could do is to try to get a video chat set up. And if that's not possible, I definitely want to have a phone call and just talk the person through whatever's going on. And basically, my entire objective for helping the at-risk student is not to lose them, you know. The purpose is retention and also relationship building too. So those are my responses in a nutshell. And won't you please, oh please, won't you be my neighbor? Bye now. Bye, neighbor.